Sarnia, thanks for watching. I'm Katie Horvath in this Into the City. I'm here today with Susan MacFarlane. Susan is looking for your votes. She's running in the 2018 Sarnia municipal election for a city councillor seat. Susan, why don't we start with you telling us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm an environmental engineer and I've been one for 25 years. I also have my PhD in civil engineering. I have a husband, his name is Stuart, and I have two daughters, Amanda, who's 18, and Jillian, who's 16. I also have a 3-year-old Havanese poodle called Rosie.
Very cute. And before we get into the politics side of things, what is it that you like to do in your downtime?
Well, in my downtime, I like to do Zumba and aquafit classes. I also like to walk my dog. And I like to go to cultural events like First Friday and Hurt Walk. And I like to see live theater, live musicals, book readings at places like Imperial Theater, Victoria Playhouse, and Stratford Festival.
All right, awesome. And why did you decide to run for council this year?
Well, you know, I just finished up 8 years at Lambton Area Water Supply System where I was general manager, and I really felt like this was a good next step for me. I thought I had a lot to add to the community and the political process, and I saw a lot of that at Laws. And I just thought it would be, you know, a challenge and, you know, a good challenge.
All right, excellent. And what is it about you, and you can say personally, you can say politically, but what is it about you that you think would make you a good representative for the people of Sarnia?
Well, I think I will be a good representative because I'm going to be more analytical than political. That's my tagline. I do have a lot of experience with asset management, you know, doing condition assessments on assets, looking at when they need to be repaired and replaced. So I do have that experience. Of course, working at Laws, I've managed a large budget. We were $10 million per year that I looked after. So I have that financial experience, but I also have that technical experience as well.
Okay, great. So we'll move now for this portion of the interview into just talking about the current council and kind of your reflections on the 2014 to 2018 term. So we could start with, what do you think are some things that the council did well, and what are some things that you think maybe they could have improved upon?
Well, I think the council did well in terms of the decision regarding the Kinsman Centre and allowing houses to be built there. I think we do need to increase our tax base. We have a lot of infrastructure needs, and that, you know, that's one way to get those paid for. I also like the IT department expansion and getting up to speed with that. I think the city's done a great job on that. And I'm so glad they put in the bike lanes, and I'd really like to see more for that. One of the big things I've been really disappointed with is the water rate structure. The fixed portion of the water rates is very high. I believe it's about 80% of the total cost. And that's really not giving people the opportunity to conserve water, save water, and then see those results on their water bills. So seniors on fixed incomes, our poorest residents, they are paying regardless of how much they use, and they really should be afforded that opportunity.
Right. Okay. So we've had a conflict. There was a conflict that was kind of long-lasting in this term of council between the mayor and some staff. There were walls built, security cameras, the whole process of dealing with that. Could you share your thoughts on the workplace investigation and kind of how that conflict played out this year, or this last couple of years, I should say?
Well, I do think that council had a very difficult number of years dealing with that. I mean, when you start bring in an integrity commissioner and have these workplace investments, you really do get a fractured environment, and people, you know, it's hard to work together. It's hard to have a team approach. So I think that has been a challenge for this council.
And what could, if you are elected, what could you do to kind of work at just kind of restoring some of the trust between the taxpayers and those at City Hall?
Well, I think everyone who gets elected for council really has to commit together to working in a team, sort of forgetting about the past, moving forward, and really understanding that everyone has a role and responsibility on council.
Okay. How do you feel about public input? Do you think that there's enough public input that goes into the decision making? Are you satisfied?
I think some of the issues that council has discussed have had really good public input. Like I went to the public input meeting for the Lakeshore right-of-way, Old Lakeshore Road right-of-way in Bryce Grove, and I thought that was excellent, the way people communicated, and you didn't get it wasn't into a yelling match or anything, so I thought that was very good. Sometimes maybe there has been a lack of public input, and I think maybe we can work on that. And the other thing is to get it done in a timely manner and not let things sit around and fester. You know, get to it, talk about it, and make those decisions.
Okay. So something that has changed this year, the way that we're going to be voting in this election. So there has been criticism that for that particular move, people are dissatisfied with the amount of public input. What are your thoughts on that move?
Yes, I guess it is the way that we need to go. We need to move to, computer voting. I know a lot of people in Lambton County are doing it. It is going to be a huge learning step for some of our seniors. I understand that, and hopefully there will be extra help for them. I do think there should have been a little more public input on that, but I think maybe we were just going with the wave of the rest of Lambton County and moving towards that. So, I mean, we just have to hopefully help people and make sure that they can vote, right? So that's going to be very important.
Okay. And I guess last question about the current council, and then we'll move into more your platform. So the Centennial Park project, that was very, very long. There was a lot of stuff that council had to deal with. Some of it was, they had no idea that it was coming. However, the criticism is that it was very much over budget. So how would you, as a councillor, approach something where you have a set amount of money that you're allotted for a project and things start to climb, the cost starts to climb? How would you kind of approach that situation?
Well, I think whenever you manage a project or start a project, you have to make sure you have the right people in place to manage the project with the right technical skills. With that project, and I was actually involved in that through my volunteer work on Sarnia Environmental Advisory Committee, and we did look at the work that the consultant brought in, but I think this was a situation where city staff really didn't know a lot about contaminated sites, and they trusted the consultants, and I think that was a mistake because they have a different agenda than maybe the city has, or a different long-term vision for the property. So I think it's so important that you get the right people managing the project, and they have to be held accountable to do a good job.
Okay. So just really kind of pushing that accountability.
Oh, yeah.
That. Okay.
Yep.
Great. So the next part of the interview, this will be very much about you, very much about your platform.
Okay.
So we'll just start with, could you tell me more about your platform?
Sure. I guess one of my big things that I'm looking at is getting a full asset management program in at the city. I think that we have so many projects, and you see them in terms of Bryce Grove shoreline protection, to, other projects that as a private citizen I don't even know about. But I really believe they all have to be documented, and condition assessments or whatever need to be done on all of them. And it needs to be across all city departments, not just department by department. Because what happens if you give a budget to one department, but another department has huge needs, but they're just not getting the money because, so I think we really have to look at that across the board. I mean, things like the Kinsman Center and the roof leaking and the mold and everything else, I mean, that's something that fell through the cracks, and we just have to know the issues, and then you can allocate a certain amount of tax dollars to those issues.
That I think would speak to the public too, and for their benefit and their education. I know I've asked before, what all do we own as a city of Sarnia?
That's right. Yeah.
And it was not really a clear-cut answer when I was looking for that.
My other idea, or sort of the vision part of my platform, is that I would really like to see the city split up into various neighborhoods, like Mitten Village, Coronation Park, Brights Grove East, Brights Grove West, something like that. And then you look at those individual neighborhoods and you say, how much green space do they have? How much parks? How many parks, acres do they have? What access do they have for trails? And then you can really see, what areas maybe need more green space, and it helps you make decisions. So for example, tearing down the Kinsman Center, well, if they already have so much green space, not that they were taking much of the park, but you know what I mean, just to kind of say, what facilities do they have in that area? Do they have coffee shop, like meeting places too? That's another thing, like meeting places where neighbors can come together and meet each other and, establish more local resilience. Like, I need a chainsaw. You can ask your neighbor, can I borrow your chainsaw? That kind of thing where you get to meet your neighbors.
Okay. So what do you think are the most important issues that the people of Sarnia are facing today?
Well, I think some of the most important issues are the fact that we have a large infrastructure deficit. We have to do a lot of work, and of course we have a dwindling population. So our tax base isn't growing. So I think we really have to get a handle on what needs to be done. And how much, and maybe, and we've got other issues, like now we've got the lead for the homes in Sarnia, the older homes in Sarnia, which is going to cost money to, get that fixed as well. And so there's all these things that, competing priorities that are going to be really important moving forward. I also think that we need to, personally, I think we need to look at the staff complement at the city. Is it the right staff complement? I'm not saying we need to do job losses or anything else, but maybe we need to move people around in departments and just make sure that we've got the right staff in the right areas and that we're focusing on the priorities.
Okay. So we've got, I would say, a problem with our youth. They can't wait to get out of Sarnia. I was that way when I turned 18. I took off. What can we do to retain our youth?
Well, that's interesting because my youngest daughter says, I'm living in Sarnia for the rest of my life. Or Brights Grove, anyways. I really think we do have a lot of good things for youth here. I think we have a lot of, of course we have our parks, our shorelines, our beautiful beaches. We have great bars, great restaurants. But I think part of retaining our youth too is getting those great jobs and really working on economic development. And, we're talking about, I know they're talking about the Green Valley, getting in biotech companies and all this. And I think that's great. And that will also support the smaller type businesses as well. So right. I think it's getting jobs for them. And so.
Okay, fair enough. So we do have an addiction and mental health crisis in our city. While this does depend a lot on provincial funding, of course, and them providing funds to some of these services, do you know anything that we could do locally or something that council could look at doing for the next term?
Oh boy, I'll have to tell you, I haven't thought about that, but I do think that we need to increase people who can offer mental health services. I know family friends who have kids who are on waiting lists for 18 months just to come and talk to people, and that, to me, is unacceptable. We need to be able to offer support for people, and of course addiction support as well is so huge. I mean, I do believe it is a disease. We have to look at it as a disease, and we have to get people the help they need, and the sooner the better.
Okay. So if you are elected, what could we expect from you as a councillor?
Well, I'm going to be a hard worker. I want to work for the people of Sarnia. I want to use my technical skills and background. I should mention that I have had experience in a municipal setting, but also in a private setting. I worked for various consultants, and I worked for Nova Chemicals as well. So I have a broad range of experience, and I hope to bring that to council. And I mean, I know I'm only one vote, but I hope to make change. And really, my big thing is we need to do more with less. And if we can take the people, and people are our greatest asset, the staff at the city and everything else, but if we can empower them to, do more with less, I think that we can really achieve great things.
All right, great. So we've got a record number of candidates in this election.
Yes, it's great. Get to meet new people.
Yeah. No, it is good.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
good. But that being said, it's becoming difficult now to choose who we should vote for because we have such a big selection. So why should the people vote for you? What is it that sets you apart?
Okay. Well, I think for me, again, I come back to being an engineer. I think that sets me apart, although I know there are some other engineers on running. I also think that I am a community-minded person. One thing I should mention is a few years ago, I tried to start a Brights Grove Community Association. Okay. And the first meeting was great, and Brian White arrived, and then it kind of just went downhill from there. I think just because people thought it was more of a political organization, but I really do think that, I am concerned about the community. I want to encourage neighbors to get to know each other, and I think that I bring both the sides of the technical person, but also the person that really cares about the community and wants to help.
Okay, excellent. So that's it for questions that I have for you, but I would just like to give you the opportunity, if there's anything else that you would like to add to this, something I may have missed, final message for the people of Sarnia.
Well, I hope you get out and vote on Monday, October the 22nd, or a little bit before that. I guess you can do that. And I hope you consider voting for me. I will work hard for the citizens of Sarnia. And as my slogan says, I'm going to bring experience and vision working for you.
All right. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming, Susan. And again, this is Susan MacFarlane. This has been Into the City. Don't forget to vote.